I'm committing to the bit. I'm committing to the bit. I am committing to this bit. Though I don't want to. Once again, it is I, Velvet Al, with another glorious episode of Velvet Al Watches Baywatch Nights So You Don't Have To. And I'm committing to this bit. Even though one episode in, I already want to give up. But no! I will watch the entire series. It is a wonderful, beautiful spring day. I don't know when I'm uploading this, and I know even less of when you're going to actually listen to this. But as I record it, spring is starting, which is nice after a very schizophrenic winter here in Western New York. I know it's not proper to say schizophrenic, but it has a good ring to it, you know? And if I didn't grow up with terms like saying schizophrenic to describe things that are kind of going all crazy and insane, two other terms I don't think will age very well either. So, I know, like, schizophrenia is different from multi-personality disorder, but it would seem weird, it just sounds weird to say, the weather's been very multi-personality disordered. Or now it's dissociative identity disorder, which would be even weirder sounding, especially since I can't pronounce dissociate. Yeah, but the weather's nice, so you might hear some noise because I've got the door open and the window open to get some air in, because it is fucking hot, even though it's like 50 degrees. And isn't that like an interesting thing about perspective, that, you know, if we were in the middle of summer and it was 50 degrees, you'd be like, oh my god, this is just fucking cold as hell. But we're coming off winter and it's like 50 degrees. Wow, I am not wearing a shirt outside. Then again, in the middle of winter, I also do not wear a shirt outside. I am fucking stupid like that. But I'm fat, so I've got plenty of insulation to keep me warm. Which is all a long, roundabout way of saying I'm doing another episode. Which, fuck, I don't have it pulled up. So this introduction really sucks, because I can't tell you what this episode is called. And I don't know what it's about. It's about David Hasselhoff. Do you really need to know more than that? But it is episode 2 of season 1, episode 2 overall of the series of Baywatch Nights. And I will pause for recording while I pull this up and watch a bit of it. And so I'll give you the title after, in like 3 seconds, I guess, for you, but for me, in like a few minutes. So this episode is called Bad Blades, because it's about bad guys on rollerblades. I'm guessing just from the opening scene, which, sorry, distraction, because my cat loves to chirp like a bird whenever I'm like recording a podcast. If you've ever listened to my podcast before, any of them, it happens quite frequently. But so, we start off, it's a warehouse, and J Peterman from Seinfeld, he's training a bunch of kids, not so much kids, just young people, on rollerblades, because they're going to pull some sort of heist, I think. The rollerbladers, they don't fully know what the job is for, but I think they get the sense of it's bad, and, you know, they're training, and one of the bladers misses his mark, and it's Jason Harvey from The Wonder Years, the older brother. I don't remember what his character's name was. You know, I don't think I ever really watched The Wonder Years. I watched like a few episodes of it. I never got into it. So sue me, fuck you. I don't think the show was that good. Maybe if I watched some more episodes, I would like it, but I don't like it. I don't have the nostalgia for it, and it's a show about nostalgia, so, you know, fuck you. I don't have to like The Wonder Years. And I especially don't really like Jason Harvey, or is it Hervey? Because he also writes for wrestling, and he was a writer for WCW, and he was a judge in the classic Sting versus Ric Flair from Clash of the Champions 1. Oh, I know, you're all like really fascinated, like, wow, I never knew so much about Jason Hervey. So, but he screwed up, and everyone's mad at him, especially this little German douchebag called Dieter, who's mad at Jason Harvey, and he also doesn't think a woman should be on this team. Is that a good German impersonation? I don't think that was. But suck it, you're stuck with my impersonation of Dieter, which may be a little more Borat. My wife, nice. Because really, that's the key to doing a Borat impersonation, right? Just say, my wife. There's an episode of Bob's Burger with a Borat impersonator, and that's all he does is keep saying, my wife, and nice. And I think that's generally the key. That's what most Borat impersonators do. So, but we get the training sequence, which involves them holding, like, I think a cannon, and being able to jump over a fence. So, yeah, I don't think he's training them for anything good. But he's saying that they're being paid well, and they're being paid well enough to not question what this is for. Now, the Hasselhoff Detective Agency, which totally should be what they start calling themselves, is at some rich old lady's house. And it's Jason Hervey's mom. And she's all like, you gotta help my son. Here's his picture. And it's a fucking headshot. Like, it's not a picture of him, like, hanging out or anything. It's like a fucking headshot of him. They couldn't, like, be bothered to just take a picture of him. Like, isn't that what the props people do? Like, they take the pictures so you can get the sense of, like, oh, these are actual photos of him hanging out, so it makes it feel realistic. No, it's just, like, his professional headshot. Then again, Mom seems like she doesn't, like, really pay that much attention to him, so she probably only has the professional headshot and has no actual pictures of him. But she wants the Hoff Detective Agency to help her son. And what is his problem? Well, he suffers from affluenza. Because he does stuff like drunk driving and armed robbery, but because she's rich, the lawyer's been able to get him off. And, Hasselhoff Detective Agency, they don't really like this. Like, this isn't good. But the mom's like, I'll pay you double. And they're all like, all right, let's get that dollar bill, y'all. Now, Hasselhoff and the black partner are following Jason Harvey, the quote-unquote knucklehead. That's what the black guy says. He's a couple shades short of being, like, a fucking racist character. Stereotype caricature. This podcast would be so much better if I could actually pronounce words. If I was good at enunciating, this would be an awesome podcast, wouldn't it? So they're following him, and they see, like, oh, he's getting into a van with the gang. And so they gotta take pictures of the gang, mostly of the hot chick in the jean shorts. Because, come on, it's Hasselhoff. He's got his priorities. And so they followed the van to the warehouse. And they managed to sneak in through the chain link fence, because Hasselhoff is, like, all fucking, like, flexible and can squeeze himself through, like, the little chain fence area. And they go to inside the warehouse, and they look in the window. And the van is driving around, and the gang is practicing their rollerblade moves, which conveniently, they're wearing helmets. So that allows them to use the stunt doubles instead of the actual actors. Although, seeing as Jason Hervey's the only, like, name actor, couldn't you just hire a bunch of people who know how to rollerblade? But, it makes sense, because they're going to commit armed robbery. Or, not armed robbery, but some sort of robbery, because the practice scheme is they jump out of the van, rollerblade to this box, pick up the box, and then jump back into the van. So, you gotta have the helmet so no one knows what you look like. And Hasselhoff and the black partner are just like, whoa, what did we just see? This is crazy. These newfangled kids and their roller skating with their inline blades. Like, I don't know. Roller skates are supposed to be 2x2, not 4x1. Which, I don't know, have we gone retro and starting to use the 2x2 roller skates again? And said, fuck you, rollerblades? I don't know. I'm not hip with it either. So Hasselhoff has a plan. See, from what he saw, these are obviously professional skaters. And if they're professional skaters, that means they've been in competitions. And if they've been in competitions, that means people have bet on it. And if people have bet on it, that means the bookie will know who these people are. Quite a leap in logic that, his female partner's like, oh, I don't believe that. Like, who would bet on rollerblading? And David Hasselhoff's like, well, people bet on which bird poops first. Which I want that. Isn't there a fucking professional, competition there? Like, bird pooping, and you can bet on it? I don't gamble, but I would bet on bird pooping. I would bet on which bird poops first. If nothing else, I'm glad that I'm doing this podcast to learn that people bet on bird poop. But, so, the Hoff, he gets in touch with a bookie, and it's true. He knows who every single one of those rollerbladers are. And they've all, have landed in trouble and have all basically spent time in prison. So, that's not good. These are some bad blades. I really wish the bookie would have said that. But I'm going to say it, because I think they should say the title of the episode within it. You know how, when they say it in a movie, that's pretty cool. Like, hey, yeah, that's the name of the movie. They should do the same thing with the title of the episodes, even though, for the most part, you don't know what the... Not until, they start getting released on, DVD and shit did anyone know what the name of episodes really were. It was just kind of like, oh, it's the episode with the bad rollerbladers. Bad as in evil, not bad as in they're not good at rollerblading. Now, Hoff relays this information that he learned to the rest of the detective agency. And, they need to figure out, okay, so Jason Hervey is going to be in some big trouble. But we can't let that happen. We got to stop it before we can. And female partner's like, well, what kind of angles are we going to work? And the Hoff's like, your angles. And the camera goes for a close-up on her gams. Yes, I say gams. And I say dame. I don't care if that makes me, old-fashioned and out of touch and sexist or whatever. But dames have nice gams. And this dame detective, she has some nice gams. And apparently that's the angle they're going to be working. I'm guessing, because the camera went for a close-up of her legs. So, they're going to try to seduce Jason Hervey with her legs. So, they're also going to be working his angle. And see how it dangles. No, actually, wouldn't they'd be working his dangle. Her angles are going to work his dangle. Yeah, that kind of works. So, the female partner... I'm going back and forth. It's Angie Harmon, so should I start calling her Angie Harmon? But I'm doing it, just because I don't want to call the black guy, if I'm not going to call her the female partner. Because then it just seems racist. And it's just the fact that I know who Angie Harmon is, and the black guy is just a no-name actor. He did not go on to have any sort of fame whatsoever. So yeah, anyways, the female partner, her costume... Her elaborate disguise is cut-off shorts and a backward baseball cap. Which makes her kind of look like Steve Buscemi in that, 30 Rock scene, how do you do, fellow kids? But she's hot enough that Jason Hervey is yeah, I don't care that you're obviously, not a teenager, because I still want to bang you. And she's pretending that she's going to start a fan club for him, and he's like, oh, yeah, awesome. Let me tell you about what I'm about to do. Oh, it's bad. But then J Peterman gives them the eye, we gotta go. Leave that hussy behind. And Jason Hervey's like, oh, sorry, I gotta go. I can't tell you anymore. Have fun with the fan club. I will bone you at some other point in the future. So Jason Hervey, he meets up with the rest of the gang, and Dieter, fucking German, aggressive motherfucker, punches Jason in the stomach for missing practice. So I guess I shouldn't be too hard on Dieter, because, you missed practice and you fucked this whole thing up. Who knows what's going to happen? Bad shit's going to happen. So, Dieter kind of is in his right to punch Jason Hervey. But he should have punched him in the face. That guy's got a punchable face. Why punch him in the stomach? And so they go to practice, but now they've graduated. They're not just practicing in the warehouse. They're practicing at a skate park. Or not a skate park. It's that, I don't know what to call it. It's where every skater hangs out in every video that's set in California. Like underneath the highway and all the homeless people. And there's always, car chases there and skaters and all sorts of crazy shit. It's the no good part of town. And they practice their blading. Because they're bad. Meanwhile, the the Hasselhoff detective agency are just strolling along the pier, and Mom's all mad. What are you doing? Just taking this leisurely stroll instead of helping my son. And they're like, ma'am, your son is in a gang. And she's like, no, he would not be in a gang. Oh, he's bad. So, let's try to get him in jail. That will keep him safe. No, you can't put him in jail. And if you can't save him, I'll find someone who can. So, of course, Hasselhoff Agency, they're gonna stick with the job because lady's gonna pay double. Get that paycheck. Work it, boys. New plan. David Hasselhoff is gonna pretend to be Jason Hervey's probation officer. And since this is back in the days before anyone really cared about police brutality, David Hasselhoff decides, I'm going to rough him up a little and threaten to throw him in jail. Because, the scare will make sure he doesn't go. And pull this evil plot, this criminal plot that's going to get him arrested. But unfortunately, Jason Hervey, suffering from the affluenza, gives David Hasselhoff $10,000 to leave him alone. What? What's the Hoff gonna do? Say no? Apparently, they don't even have a working lamp over at the Hasselhoff Detective Agency. Which, this is the second week. I don't know how time's working in this show, but this is the second episode, so they're already, just screwed. That's why they even took this job in the first place, was they're gonna pay double, and let's get this extra $10,000. Why not? That's a very good bribe. And this is $10,000 in 1990s money. So that is a very fucking good bribe. But then, so Jason Hervey, he manages to get to the site of the criminal activity, the gang. Oh, I don't know where I'm going with this. My mind melts when I watch Baywatch nights, based on the 1.5 episodes I've seen so far. But, yeah, so he makes it to the gang, and he gets there right at the end as they're finishing up as J Peterman's just finishing up telling him the score and how the plan's going to go. Dieter's not happy about Jason Hervey being late, and Dieter's shirtless. And he's not really that muscular, and they had said earlier, he got busted for steroids. So he doesn't quite look steroid-esque. Is that a word? Steroid-esque. But he's a hothead, because he's German, and he's ready to beat down Jason Hervey. But J Peterman's like, no. Wait until after the score, and then you can kill him. Oh boy, Jason Hervey's gonna be in some trouble, isn't he? Now, the Hoff, wearing an Adidas jacket in a very strange little product placement there. It just looks weird. And it's not even a good-looking Adidas jacket. It's so super fucking faded out. But it's clear enough that, you see Adidas, it says Adidas, and you see the Adidas logo. So it's kind of why? Come on, Adidas, you couldn't afford to give them, a good jacket? Or maybe they were only willing to pay, half the product placement price for the show, so they're we're not going to make it super clear, because you don't want to pony up the extra money. And he takes the $10,000 over to Mom as proof that, hey, your son just tried to bribe a probation officer. That he wasn't even sure that it was his probation officer. He just kind of accepted David Hasselhoff's explanation. Which I guess you kind of have to, when he's roughing you up. But Mom still won't believe that, her son's a bad boy and is now, caught up with international jewel thieves. Are they jewel thieves? They're some sort of thieves, and they're international, because J Peterman's American, and Dieter is German. And that's two nations. And you only need two nations to be an international gang. I don't make the rules. I wish I did. So, what happened now? I'm just going to ask you what happened as I try to remember what happens next. So, Hoff and his black partner are trailing Jason Hervey's car. But oh no, Jason Hervey's not driving the car. It's a blonde girl with huge fake tits. I can't see the tits and I can't feel them, so I can't say for sure they're fake, but they look fake. They got that fake look, It's just not natural. And it turns out Jason Hervey, paid her off to drive the car around for the day to keep the battery charged. And I don't know if she believes the story or if she's just like, I don't care, I'll take your money. Because, you don't need to drive a car around all day to keep the battery charged. Or who knows, maybe, his car is, because doesn't look like a piece of shit, but maybe, the engine's just dying or the battery's dying, so he needs to keep it running. Seems like a very flimsy story. Someone told me, here's $1,000, drive my car around all day to keep the battery charged. I'd be like, I know you're up to some shit, but I could use $1,000, so I will drive your car around. And the Hoff, he wants to spend a little time and flirt with this lady, but thankfully the black partner's like, hey, we ain't got time for this. Let's get down to the warehouse. Maybe they're still there. Nope! The gang's not there anymore. But they did leave the blackboard, not the chalkboard. Because it's not black, it's green. They left the chalkboard where they wrote the plan out and drew the map. And they erased some of it. So I don't know if they were in a super hurry and they're like, good enough and they're erasing. Because they erased some of it. So they tried to erase it to clear up the evidence, but you couldn't take a few more minutes to do a good job erasing it. But the map's clear enough for them to figure out, oh, here's where the thieves are going to be. It's near the Treasury Department. That must be the hit location. Target. I am not doing good with my words today. So J Peterman drives them to the Treasury, the target site, and it's a pretty elaborate plan. Some of the other, jewel thieves. Are they jewel thieves? International thieves have to be jewel thieves, even if they're robbing other things. That's just... I don't make the rules. I should make the rules. I guess I am making the rules. But anyhow, they have a tow truck, and they have the tow part thing, the flatbed, and they have it angled to make a perfect on-ramp. And they throw some gas canisters over while the armed guards are trying to take the money in from the armored truck. And they don't know what's going on. And suddenly the bladers, they all come up the ramp to leap over the wall. And then they steal the money cases. And they have to punch the guards to get through. And then they got a cannon RPG that they use to blow up the door so that they can get out. It is the perfect plan. Except for the fact that Hasselhoff almost runs them over. The episode could have ended right there. That would have been a perfect place. Oops! Oh, that's our Hasselhoff. But no, he doesn't run them over. And they keep running. And it gets to the point where they go to the LA River in the tunnel that they can't drive their car through. So Hasselhoff and the black partner are like, oh no, what are we going to do? And we can't catch them on foot. Feet. Yeah, they're on foot. Oh, man. This is such a professional podcast, isn't it? Very, very professional. Yeah, so they commandeer this random guy's motorcycle by pretending to be the CIA. Because apparently, the guy doesn't bother to ask, oh, you're CIA? Let me see your badges. You can't just fucking take my motorcycle. They say they're CIA. They must be CIA. So Hoff and his partner catch up to the Bladers, and damn, that would have been a good name. I should have been called them Bladers all along. So he catches up to the Bladers, and he's on the back while his partner's driving the motorcycle, and Hasselhoff goes up. They get to like each Blader, and Hasselhoff reaches out and just knocks them over. Like, yes, they got most of them, except for 2 make it to the van that J Peterman's driving. Dieter, of course, because he's the badass German, and Jason Hervey, which is good for Dieter, because that means, all right, now I get to kill Jason Hervey. And he pulls out a gun and is ready to shoot him. I don't know if shooting someone while in a moving vehicle is the wisest idea. Like, you couldn't wait till, like, you get back to your hideout and then you shoot him and throw his body out the back of the van and then run off. Oh, I guess I could see why you wouldn't want the body left by your headquarters. But still, like, they could have... they couldn't really stop, but... Yeah, just... I don't know if I would want to shoot someone while in a moving van. But luckily, the detective agency has caught up with them, and Hasselhoff jumps into the van, because they still haven't closed the door. Because, of course you wouldn't close the door, because he's going to have to dump the body out of the moving van. So, just a lot of lucky coincidences going around. And the Hoffman, he kicks Dieter in the face and throws him out of the van, which luckily he lands on some homeless dude's cardboard box. And luckily the homeless dude was not there at the time. But just this cardboard box, he just falls on, breaks his fall. And Hoff takes the gun and he points it at Peterman, who seems to not know that anything was going on in the back. And the cops are pulling up, and Hoff points the gun at Peterman like, I don't even remember what... He had some bad one-liner, but Peterman stops the van because, he's got a gun to his face. So now the Hasselhoff detective agency's gathered at some blues club, which was the blues club at the end of the last episode, so I'm guessing they just are going to end every episode hanging out at the blues club. Because they got the blues. Not the real blues, but the white boy wannabe blues. And so Jason Hervey has managed to avoid jail time on the condition that he joins the Marine Corps. That seems like the kind of punishment you can only get if you're rich. Like, it feels poor. They're like, no, we're not giving you this option to join the military. Even though the military kind of just exists to feed on poor people. But, no, they still would send them to jail because the prison military complex pays more. Look, I'm not going to get political because I don't know what I'm talking about. I just know that in real life, if Jason Hervey was a poor kid, he would not get to skip out on jail time by joining the military. But... So now another job well done for the Hasselhoff Detective Agency, and they have $20. I don't, like, seriously, they just are kind of there with $20, which covers enough for their drinks and the tip, apparently. Yeah, is the Hasselhoff Detective Agency not, like, making any money? Because they're making it seem like they make no money, which this lady was paying them double their going rate. So, but I guess once you factor in expenses, they probably had to pay the guy back for taking his motorcycle. And, yeah, so I guess once you factor in expenses, because they're too dumb to charge expenses. Like, isn't it usually like a fee plus expenses? Not the Hasselhoff Detective Agency, they didn't figure that out. So the expenses just eat into their profits all the way. Oops. Oh, well. Maybe next time, Hasselhoff, you'll hold on to that $10,000 bribe. And maybe next time I will not do this podcast anymore. No! I am committed to the bit. What? I think there's 42 episodes left. I can do it. The question is, should I? I spent so long wondering if I could, I never bothered to think if I should. Jurassic Park. Do you kids get that? Do you get that reference? But yeah! I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. My mind is done. velvetowl@hotmail.com if you feel as dumb as me. And I will maybe watch another episode of Baywatch Nights. Why, I don't know. But I'm committed. I will watch all 44 episodes. And this was episode 2. Bad Blades? Badeblads? Something. I don't know. Watching too much Hasselhoff TV will corrode your mind. So, stay tuned for the next episode. Yeah. I love you guys. I really mean it.